You need to hear this if you're a car owner or work in the auto industry. Welcome to Global Facts. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In April 2025, Stellantis stunned the auto world by announcing sweeping production shutdowns across North America. An immediate reaction to the White House's new protectionist trade policy. The move sent shockwaves through the global economy, threatening thousands of jobs and shaking the foundation of North America's tightly woven auto industry. Stellantis' stock plunged over 9%, dragging down Ford, GM, and Tesla as investors panicked. The market's reaction revealed a hard truth. Modern car manufacturing is a cross-border web. Disrupt one link, and chaos spreads everywhere. For decades, cars and parts have flowed seamlessly between the US, Canada, and Mexico, creating a single manufacturing powerhouse. Now that system faces its toughest test yet, as the gears of international cooperation grind to a halt. Behind the headlines are real people. Families and communities whose livelihoods depend on the hum of the assembly line. As factory gates close, uncertainty spreads from Michigan to Mexico, leaving everyone to wonder, what's next for the North American auto industry? The North American auto industry's deep integration is the result of decades of trade deals. The 1965 Auto Pact between the US and Canada eliminated tariffs, encouraging automakers to specialize and build plants on both sides of the border. NAFTA, launched in 1994, brought Mexico into the mix, creating a vast free trade zone and supercharging cross-border supply chains. Automakers built assembly plants in Mexico and Canada for cost savings, while US factories focused on high-value components and popular models. For nearly 30 years, vehicles and parts crisscrossed the continent, making North American cars a reality. But political backlash grew, with critics blaming free trade for US job losses. The USMCA, which replaced NAFTA in 2020, tightened rules but kept the cross-border model alive. That's why the new tariffs are so disruptive. The system was built for cooperation, not economic barriers. The White House's latest move marks a sharp break from decades of integration, forcing automakers to rethink strategies built over a generation. The crisis erupted when President Trump's administration unveiled sweeping tariffs in spring 2025. A new 10% tariff hit all imports, but the auto industry was hit hardest, a 25% duty on imported cars and trucks, up from just 2.5%. The so-called Liberation Day tariffs aim to force automakers to bring jobs back to the US, but at a steep cost. Even with some exemptions under USMCA, automakers faced major new expenses on every vehicle crossing the border. The White House insisted the pain would be temporary, promising jobs and higher wages would return. But for companies like Stellantis, the math was brutal. Half their US sales come from vehicles built in Canada or Mexico. Overnight, an efficient global strategy became a financial liability, forcing Stellantis to halt production and rethink its entire North American operation. The shutdowns quickly hit workers on both sides of the border. In Canada, the Windsor plant idled, leaving over 4,500 auto workers in limbo. In Mexico, the Toluca plant stopped production for a month. Workers were paid, but the assembly lines stood still. The ripple effect reached the US, where nearly 900 workers at key parts plants in Michigan and Indiana were temporarily laid off. These workers, who supply components for cross-border assembly, suddenly found themselves sidelined by a severed supply chain. The irony was clear. Tariffs meant to protect American jobs led to immediate layoffs at home. Union leaders described the mood as devastated, with families facing new uncertainty after a year of previous cuts. The shutdowns exposed a painful truth. Punishing one part of the system hurts everyone in an interconnected economy. The human cost was paid by the very workers the policy was supposed to help. The response from unions and politicians was swift and deeply divided. UAW President Shawn Fain blasted Stellantis for using tariffs as an excuse to lay off workers, arguing the company could have absorbed the costs. He supported tariffs in principle but condemned the plant shutdowns as unnecessary. In Canada, Unifor's Lana Payne warned the US would learn the hard way how interconnected the auto industry is, as workers on both sides suffered. Politicians split along party lines. Democrats like Senator Chuck Schumer called the layoffs a direct result of reckless trade policy. accusing the White House of ignoring supply chain realities. The administration meanwhile doubled down, insisting the pain was temporary and jobs would return. Spokesperson Caroline Leavitt promised American workers would benefit in the end, framing the disruption as a step toward prosperity. The public was left with two narratives: a disastrous policy causing immediate harm, or a necessary measure for a stronger future. The debate raged on, with workers caught in the middle. For car buyers, the impact is immediate. Prices are set to rise. A 25% tariff on imported vehicles means higher sticker prices, often by thousands of dollars. Automakers won't absorb the cost, consumers will. Even US-assembled cars could get pricier, since many rely on foreign parts that may also face new duties. Some models built exclusively outside the US may disappear from showrooms, shrinking consumer choice. The American market, long known for variety, could see fewer affordable options and niche models. Higher prices could depress demand, leading to fewer jobs, not more. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries could hurt US exports, threatening jobs at factories that build for global markets. The path to more American jobs is far from guaranteed. For now, the only certainty is that buying a new car just got a lot more expensive. The EV revolution faces a major setback from the new tariffs. Many new electric vehicles, like the Dodge Charger Daytona and Jeep Wagoneer S, are built in Canada and Mexico, now hit with a 25% tariff. This makes them far pricier for American buyers, threatening the rollout of affordable EVs. Other automakers, including GM and Ford, also rely on cross-border EV production. The tariffs force a tough choice: absorb huge costs, raise prices, or move production. An expensive, years-long process. The EV supply chain is even more globalized, especially for batteries sourced from Asia. If trade tensions escalate, tariffs could hit batteries and key components, driving up costs for all EVs. Some experts say this could eventually spur a domestic EV supply chain, but that's a long-term, costly project. For now, the tariffs are a roadblock, slowing the EV transition and creating headaches for automakers and consumers alike. Industry experts warn the tariffs are a high-stakes gamble with unpredictable consequences. Automakers spent decades building global supply chains. Reversing course isn't quick or cheap. Building or retooling US plants takes years and billions of dollars. GM is considering shifting some truck production to Indiana, but such moves are complex and costly. The immediate result: production chaos and layoffs, not new factories. Retaliation is a real risk. Canada and Mexico could slap tariffs on US goods, hurting American exporters. Most analysts predict higher costs, fewer choices, and a less competitive US auto industry. While bringing jobs home is a worthy goal, tariffs are a blunt tool that could backfire. The road ahead is uncertain, and likely to be rough for automakers, workers, and consumers. Stellantis's shutdowns have thrown the North American auto industry into turmoil. This isn't just about one company. It's a turning point for US, Canadian, and Mexican economic ties. The big question: is this a temporary disruption, or the start of a painful realignment? Will other automakers follow suit? Will the White House hold firm, or back down as the fallout grows? The answers will shape car prices, jobs, and the pace of the EV transition for years to come. The next moves from GM, Ford, and foreign governments will be critical. Decades of integration can't be unwound without friction and unintended consequences. The future of the North American auto industry is at a crossroads, and the direction it takes will affect us all.